Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Sydney, the boho traveler. Welcome back, or welcome if you haven't been here before. Today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about some of my travel bloopers. I'm going to be focusing on my Morocco travel bloopers because on Instagram that's what you guys voted on that you wanted to hear. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit of those because no travel experience is ever complete without some sort of chaos. But before we get into it, if you guys haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do so. You have no idea how much it helps. So just go to the little box in this area, I think, or somewhere around here. I don't know, but click the box, click subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and all that good stuff. So anyways, without further ado, my Morocco travel bloopers. So Morocco, let me just preface all of this by saying that I absolutely adore Morocco. I have been twice now. I went again last year in January. So January of 2020, like right before COVID took everything down. Like I literally flew back from New York like the weekend before things started popping off in New York, and my girlfriends left New York and landed in Italy right as like shit was going down in Italy. So this is all like right before COVID really took off. And I remember like my mom texting me and being like, there's this weird coronavirus in Italy, you need to be careful. And I'm like, what are you talking about? As I'm like in Florence, like just partying with my friends. Anyways, so I love Morocco. I think it's a beautiful country. The people there were nothing but welcoming. Like I absolutely adore this place. So when I tell these stories, it comes from a place of love, but also like, what is going on? So I think, should we get to Morocco? And our first stop is Tangier. Don't think no crazy bloopers happened there in Tangier. Tangier's a really lovely city, very like multicultural, like a business hub, lots of cool stuff going on. Oh wait, something did happen. So this isn't really like that bad of a travel blooper, but we did this like day trip. You paid like the taxi driver $60 and he like took you to these 3 stops. And we like, big language barrier, didn't speak any Spanish or Arabic. And he was like, oh, are you ready to go back now? Or do you want to go to Asila in Arabic? And we were like, no, we want to go back. We don't want to go to Asila. But I think he said we thought we did want to go to Asila. So then we like look at the map as we're driving. I'm like, man, this doesn't seem like the way we came in. We've been driving for a really long time. I think we should be back by now. And I like look at Google Maps on my phone and we're like going the opposite way from Tangier. And I'm like, oh my God, where is this man taking us? So then he takes us all the way out to Asila. We're like, you know what? Whatever, if we're already like 3/4 of the way there, so we might as well go. And then we went and we had a lovely time. We had amazing seafood at this restaurant on the coast. I actually got recognized by somebody who followed me on Instagram there, which was super weird. I was like, what? It was this like 14-year-old boy. He was like, hey, I follow you. I was like, why? But anyways, so we did that. We sat at the beach, watched some people try and ride camels on the beach, which was hilarious. And then we went back to Tangier, but we were very confused. And that is just a typical example of how like language barriers in foreign countries sometimes work in your benefit, because if we hadn't like not known what he was saying, we probably wouldn't have gone to this town and wouldn't have had this really great seafood, and stayed on this really nice beach. You know, it was a lovely beach. It's probably one of the only beaches apart from Essawera that we went to in Morocco. So then we went from Tangier to Chefchaouen, and Chefchaouen was lovely. Here, oh God, it's a blooper story, so I'm only telling like the bad things that happened, but here we totally got scammed by the taxi driver. So you take the bus from Tangier to Chefchaouen, and the bus drops you off at like the base of the town, and the town's like up here on this hill, and you're like, okay, so you want to get a taxi from the train station if you're carrying luggage. Like without luggage, it's a hike to get up to the town from the bus stop. So like there's a bunch of taxis there waiting for everybody to get on and go up. The smart people have their taxi arranged in advance with a price set. Remember that. But we didn't, because we just were like, flying by the seat of our pants, as one does when you're 21. So we get in a taxi, we tell him to take us there, and I'm like looking at it on the map. I'm like, I think you can get us closer. And he's like, no, you have to get out here. And my friend will help you carry your bags up. And I was like, this seems like a scam to me. And so he lets us out. I'm like, what? I'm like, can't you just drive us here? Because I saw the other taxi. I'm like, that taxi's going there. Like, can't you take us there? And so he's like, oh, and gets all mad. So then he drives us up a little bit further. And then another one of his friends like comes out down the stairs. And he's like, oh, well, he'll help you carry the luggage. And I'm like, you know what? I don't need help carrying my luggage. I can do it myself. So Caitlin's like, So we carry our luggage like all the way up like these 100 steps or whatever, right to where our hotel is, which is in the main square of the town. There's like 4 other taxis right there, like 15 steps, like paces from our hotel. I'm like, this asshole. Like, they do this to like get money out of you. So like they drive you somewhere where they think you have to walk because you don't know what's going on. And then they have their friends come out, and then you pay their friends $15 to carry your bags. So you're like, oh, I don't want to carry my bags. But I am stubborn and persistent, and I was not paying for somebody to carry my bags. I was like, I'm young and fit. I can do this. And I did. But like, what a jerk. Like, just drive us to the place. Like, I'll pay you the $15 to you to just get me straight to my hotel so I don't have to go through all this faff. Like, anyways, so when you go to Morocco or Chefchaouen or any of those super touristy areas, be wary of that. They'll do that to you in Marrakesh too. And I've got a great story about that coming up. But anyways, we spent our time in Chefchaouen, which lovely. If you don't know anything about Chefchaouen, it is known as the Blue Pearl, or the Blue City of Morocco. Literally everything is blue. Here's a photo of it. Anyway, so this is like part of our time there here in Chefchaouen. Yeah, like really cool city. Everybody was super welcoming apart from this taxi driver guy. I actually, like, we were walking around and some of the locals saw me with my camera and they were like, oh, come here. And they kept doing all these like backflips. I'll have to see if I can find the video and share it here. And they were doing like these backflips and like all this crazy stuff. And we're like, post it on YouTube, let me get famous. I was like, I don't have a big YouTube following. But I'll try and see what I can do. But you know, like everybody was super kind. We took a tour with a local girl there. She's the only female tour guide in Chefchaouen. I'll link her information down here. We got invited to like 6 weddings. Everybody was super friendly. Really love that town. So yeah, okay. So from Chefchaouen, we then went to Fez. Yeah, as far as I remember, nothing crazy happened in Fez. Very Moroccan. The souk was really cool. We went to this, stumbled upon this really cool place called Cafe Smile, which was like one of the few places we went to in Morocco that served alcohol. And we sat on the rooftop bar and these like cool little like bohemian plushes like on this rooftop, and there was like just a bunch of like hippies telling really cool stories, but like local hippies. We drank some wine. People were smoking some hashish, not me, but others. It was great. It was a lovely little time. Cafe Smile, if you stumble upon it. Definitely check it out. But yeah, Fez was really cool. Beautiful view of like the countryside, like very different than what I would expect Morocco to be like. Then from there, this is where things got really interesting. From there, we took the train. We nearly missed the train, first of all, to get to Marrakesh. Like, the train left at 8:30. We got there at like 8:29, and we're like trying to do our tickets. I don't know why we were so late. We just were. And we're like freaking out because there wasn't another train for like 6 hours, and it's an 8-hour train ride to get from Fez to Marrakesh. We were like, oh my God, we're like literally like sprinting with our bags, like, like freaking out. We made it though, just barely, but of course starving because I planned to eat at the train station. That didn't happen because we were so late. So didn't eat, and I was like, I'm gonna have to eat on the train. Like, this is 8 hours, and like, I don't think the goldfish are gonna cut it. You know, I'd brought goldfish from home. And so we're all like doing it. You know, we're all like doing it. We're on this train to Marrakesh, and you know, the little lady with her trolley comes by. Anything from the trolley, yeah. Except it's not Harry Potter, but you know, she's a big Arabic woman saying this in Arabic. And I see the guy behind me ordered a veggie sandwich, and I was like, oh, I'll have one of those. And she was like, that was the last veggie sandwich. I only have chicken left. And in my brain, I was like, Sydney, don't eat the train chicken. But I was so hungry, my stomach overcame my reason, and I ordered the chicken sandwich. Yeah. Nothing happened right away, although I did go to the bathroom on this train, and it just seems like a normal train, but then you go to the bathroom, and the toilet is literally like a step stool with a hole cut in it, and you look down in there and you see the train tracks, like just a hole. And you have like, you're wearing these long skirts because it's an Arabic country or a Muslim country, and you're trying to be respectful. So you're like sitting down on this toilet and your skirts are like flying up above your head. It's very bizarre. And you just pee straight to the train tracks. Super weird. Anyways, that was a weird feeling, to say the least. I'm like, is it gonna come back up and get me? It didn't, but I was worried it would. So we get to Marrakesh, and not feeling so hot. Like we get to Marrakesh late in the night. We literally only stay for the night, and then the next morning we're taking a bus to Essawera. Actually, no, that's not true. We took the train to Marrakesh, immediately got on a bus, and went to Essawera, I think. Caitlin's gonna have to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but because I'm trying to figure out how long it took for the train chicken to set in and decide it was gonna kill me. Because I remember I was in the middle of the night in Essawera, and I was done for. Like, I'm always the type of person that like gets up early and is like super active on vacation, like gets up at like 8 and is like, let's go get breakfast, let's go do this, let's go to the morning market, let's do this, blah, blah, blah. And like, I didn't wake up until 10 that following morning, because I'd been up all night just so sick. I will spare everybody the graphic details, but it was not good. Caitlin was like, are you okay? Like, you're never up this late, especially when we're traveling. I'm like, I think I'm dying. She's like, you look like you're dying. Like, I was like the color of this wall back here. Like, I was so pale and so sick. And we were in this city that I was so excited to visit, because Essawera, don't know if you know anything about it, but it's a Game of Thrones filming location. Beautiful seaside, walled city, just absolutely epic location. And I'm over here puking my brains out because of this friggin' train chicken. Like, oh my word. It was horrific. Like, I wasn't sure I was gonna make it. Like, I went and bought all of the pills. I was like, make it stop now. I couldn't eat the whole next day. I couldn't eat for like 36 hours or something, because I was so ill. It was really bad. But I survived. Moral of the story, don't eat the train chicken. Anyways, we spent our time in Essawera, and it was absolutely beautiful. Still one of my favorite cities I think I've ever been to. Definitely my favorite city in Morocco. Super epic. It's only a 2-hour bus ride from Marrakesh. So if you're in Marrakesh and are like, need to get away from the city, because I can totally understand that when you're in Marrakesh, because Marrakesh gets very like hectic and chaotic. And it's a really beautiful city, and you should definitely visit it. But the antithesis to that is Essawera. It's this beautiful, slow beachside town. Like, just like you wander, like people don't harass you to buy stuff. Like, you're not getting haggled. Like, you just go to the fish market, pick out your fish, you walk it to the end, they'll grill it right there for you. It's lovely. Like, absolutely 10 out of 10 would recommend. But from there, we eventually went back to Marrakesh, and we were staying at a beautiful riad there. We stayed in all these amazing riads, like throughout the whole country, just like beautiful, like tiled interiors, like, and so we were staying at this riad in Marrakesh, and my map led me right there. Like, it was a very well-known place to stay, and my map led me right there. And so as we're going, these, you know, like 12, 13, maybe 14-year-old boys are like, oh, do you need help finding where you're going? I'm like, no, we got it. And they're like, oh, where are you going to? I'm like, we're going to a riad up here, but I don't need your help getting there. Like, we've got it. Because they want money, and I'm like, I'm not giving you 20 euro when I know where I'm going. Like, I'm sorry, but I just ain't gonna do it. and they're like trying to grab my bags from me, which I get really angry about because like I haven't asked you to help me with my bags. Don't start taking my bag from me, especially because like Mama Bear with her camera equipment, like get the hell away from my bag. Like I don't like that. I don't like people forcing themselves on me with stuff like that. So I kind of freaked out, was like, we don't need your help, and like snatched it away from him. Probably not the best idea. So we did that. We got into the hotel, and he's like, you owe me 20 euro, you owe me 20 euro. I'm like, I'm not giving you 20 euro. You didn't do anything. I had the map in my hand. I knew where I was going. And he's like, you owe me 20 euro. And then the owner of the riad comes out and he's like, back off, dude. And the kids like, then they start arguing in Spanish, or they might have been arguing in Arabic. I'm not really sure. I walked away because I was like, I'm just taking my stuff inside and leaving this, because obviously this guy's dealt with this his whole life. Like, this is what happens. And we kind of forget about it. We like go and chill in our pool. We're like enjoying our riad. We're like, you know what? We got to go to dinner. So we look up a place to go to dinner, get it on the map, and we're leaving the riad. And as we're walking, these boys have now got some friends around. There's like probably 7 or 8 of them. And as we're leaving, they're like, they start yelling at us. They're like, oh, where's our money? Blah, blah, blah. They're like being really aggressive. I mean, they're kids though, so we're just like, whatever, they're just being punks. Then they start throwing rocks at us. And at that point we were like, fuck this. And so we just like sprinted. We didn't sprint, we just like speed walked. And just like away from these kids, and they're literally like throwing rocks at us. One of them grabbed my butt. It was really, really horrible. So when I say I got stoned in Morocco, like I literally got stoned in Morocco, like stones thrown at me. Like one hit the back of my head, left like a pretty big lump too. Like it was pretty brutal. When we came back, I felt like a tattletale. Like when we came back, I like told the riad owner, and he was like, that's so not okay. He's like, this, you know, because it's not good for tourism there, and it's not good like for their image either. So it's a really, like, it's a bad thing when people do that. Like they shouldn't, like nobody should ever be that aggressive, no matter what the situation was, and whether or not they thought they were in the right, or like, you know, obviously we thought we were in the right, but no matter who was in the right, you still don't throw rocks at people. I wasn't like scared for my life because they're 12-year-olds. You know, like I'm like, I don't think they're gonna do anything really. They're just gonna harass us and be jerks. But still, I was like, oh my God, if this is how they behave as kids, like how are these people gonna be when they grow up? It put a really bad taste in my mouth for Marrakesh for a while. And it wasn't until I went to Marrakesh the following year that I ended up actually enjoying my time there and being like, oh, this is a beautiful city, because I just felt so like distaste in my mouth for Marrakesh. Really wasn't a fan of it. But I learned my lesson. I had one bad experience, and you shouldn't let, that just goes to show that you shouldn't let one bad experience like ruin your taste of a city. You know, lots of people hate Paris and they go back and they're like, oh my God, how did I hate Paris this whole time? I'm like, yeah, Paris is amazing. You know, same thing for Marrakesh for me. So that was, Marrakesh was my Paris. So from Marrakesh, we then went to the Sahara Desert, and we were so excited to go to the Sahara. But that was a whole ordeal within itself, dude. That was actually like one of the most hectic travel experiences of my life. So it started off all good. We went, made it to the desert. And the reason, like, I mean, obviously I wanted to go to the desert to go camping in it, but like one of the reasons I wanted to go was so that you could see the stars. So apparently it's some of the most beautiful stars you can ever see in your life. But apparently we went on the one day of the whole year that it's cloudy in the Sahara Desert. We had a thunderstorm come through the desert while we were there. Here's a photo of it. Like, it was crazy, that like a full thunderstorm coming at us. We were like, what? Insane, in the middle of the desert. And so then the sky was cloudy. But we still did like night sand dune surfing and like we didn't do ATVs. We did, we went in like a 4x4 like through the sand dunes and stuff. Had an epic time, like no doubt about it. But it was just like weird that we had a full-on thunderstorm in the Sahara Desert. And on top of that, on our way back to Marrakesh, it's always surrounding Marrakesh, the hecticness. On our way back to Marrakesh, there was flash flooding, and the roads were literally like 2 feet underwater. We went with Drana Tours Morocco. I almost spaced on the name. And it was hectic. Like, thank God we went with them because they had a car with the like exhaust, like a, what do you call that when the exhaust comes up so you don't drown the car? So they had one of those. So he was able, our driver Idris was able to get us through the flash floods and like drive us through. But it was, I mean, there was so much traffic. Like, I never expected to see so much rain in the desert. It was insane. Like, so, like, we didn't even see the rain, but it was raining up in the highlands, I guess, and then it was all flooding down. There was massive rivers just coming down. It was wild. We were so glad when we got back to Marrakesh. We were like, it took us like I think 6 extra hours to get back because of the flash flooding, and I just was like weaving around all these people. I was like, screw it, we're passing these people, like, we gotta go. I was like, let's do it, buddy. I have faith in you. Let's not get swept away into the river though. But we made it, and all safe and sound, and the Sahara was amazing. Like, don't get me wrong, like, it was absolutely epic. Oh, but while we were there, we were camping, and like you have like it's glamping, so you have electricity, right? But you don't have like your own bathroom or anything, at least the one we stayed at, because we weren't like luxury glamping, we were just glamping with electricity, and like they fed us, and like we didn't have to do any of that. So yes, glamping, but we didn't have our own bathroom basically. But we couldn't figure out how to turn the lights off in our room. So we're both like sleeping there, covered in sand, with scarves over our heads because we can't figure out how to turn off the lights. Got like no sleep. I don't think I went to bed until 5 a.m. and then sunrise is at 6 a.m. So you're up for that. Like, yeah, no sleep at all. That's like only 1 hour actually. But super epic night, like one of the most memorable nights of my life, like dancing around the campfire, all of the guides telling these amazing stories. I mean, the main guide at our camp had no idea how old he was. He thinks he was like 29. I had no idea of his age or his birthday. And he spoke I counted 9 languages that he spoke fluently while we were there. Has never been to school in his life, has always just lived in the desert. Like, super incredible stuff. Just a completely different way of life than anything I've ever been introduced to before. So I really, really appreciated that and enjoyed it. Yeah, anyways, I love the desert. All in all, Morocco was a really, really cool experience, and I really enjoyed it, even though there was a lot of travel bloopers that went on there. Like, I mean, it was our first time like really exploring. I guess it's not true. We went to Peru, which isn't really Western, but it is still kind of, I guess. And Peru's like, but Morocco's touristy too. I don't know. Morocco was probably the first like time for me traveling somewhere that wasn't super Westernized, super touristy. Was kind of like a very different, it was my first time in Africa. It was a very different experience than any other travel I've done before. You know, completely different language. So I think, you know, when you have all those factors coming in, it's going to be a bit of a hectic experience. And, you know, we've planned it all ourselves. So when it comes to me planning my clients' Morocco trips, I have a lot of experience to pull from on what not to do. Because I've done all the things you don't want to do. Like eat the train chicken. God, it was so bad. I cannot explain enough. That was not the most sick I've ever been in my life. The most sick I've ever been in my life is Ecuador, which I'll tell you another time. That's another story time for you guys, but that was worse. I'm still living with the effects of Ecuador to this day. Thanks, Herman, the parasite. Anyhow, that's all for my Morocco bloopers for today. I'm sure I'm gonna like turn this video off and be like, oh, I forgot to tell them this. But I'll just have to leave a comment about it because there were so many bloopers, But if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Drop a comment, tell me if you've ever had any Morocco bloopers. I would love to hear them and make sure that I'm not the only idiot out there traveling. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next week.